Everyone, hopefully this is working and I am now live on YouTube and on Facebook. I'll check that in just a minute. I'm just checking I've got all the settings set up. Now the bit I need to find is where's the chat again? I've missed that bit. Oh dear, there we go. Yeah, got that up again. That's all right. Oh no, get it up again. Here we go. Right, so if anybody is going to watch, then please let me know you're there and I will try and say hello, try and notice that. Hopefully we are more typical. My iPad's just turned itself off. That just is typical, isn't it? Hopefully we're live on this. Oh, we don't seem to be. What's happening here? Okay. I'm not sure why we haven't gone live in Facebook. We're supposed to be. Oh, no, we are. We are. That's all right then. Good. So I've got that up and I should be able to see on there any comments on Facebook as well. So thank you for joining me today. I am going to have a little play with some vellum today and show you a couple of techniques and talk about in particular embossing with vellum. So let me just swap this round so that you can see my craft desk instead of me. And I'll just sort of appear in the corner. You'll see me just bending over the craft desk here, but here we are. Yes, it's working. That's brilliant. So welcome everyone, and let me know how you're doing today. I should be able to see some chat. I'd love somebody to write something in the chat just so that I can make sure that I can actually see it. So if you are watching, then please do say hello. So I wanted to play today with this glorious Lifetime of Love stamp set. And I've made a card. This card is actually for our Tech for Stampers blog hop. And they're coming out tonight at 6 o'clock. So if you go on the website, you will see this card and another one actually, but we'll talk about that one later. And this is used, if I hold it a bit closer, where's my camera? There we go. You can see that it's got an overlay of vellum and a sort of, I'll talk about the dies in a minute. That's one of the dies from the set, and a heat embossed sentiment and some heat embossed leaves on this one. I'm going to make one slightly different today. I'll explain why in a minute, but hopefully you can see the detail in the embossed piece of vellum at the back there. I know it's white on white. I'm in a phase at the moment of doing monochrome cards, so there we go. And this one is going to be actually for my sister-in-law's wedding. She's getting married in June, so that's her card. Hopefully she won't see it first. Hopefully if she does, she'll have forgotten about it when she gets there. Anyway, here we are. Yeah, no comments on that. That's fine. So let me show you what we need for this and what I've got here. So I've got the Lifetime of Love stamp set. So it's got the most glorious images of the flowers and beautiful sentiments in a lovely font. I love those. And it comes with a set of dies, a matching set of dies, the Lifetime of Love dies. And these are the frames I'm talking about. This is the one I used on the card I've just shown you. I'm going to be using this one. I'll take it out now because I need it for today. It's also got extra leaf dies and little flower head dies. A little branch there, and it also cuts out some of the images from the stamp set, or all the images from the stamp set actually. So there we have this set, which is lovely. And let me show you what we need for the card. So I've used the embossing folder I've used. Hopefully you can see that in detail. This is the cross-hatched one from the Basics 3D embossing folders set, which is an online exclusive, and they're wonderful. There's 3 of these. And I can't open this one. There we go. 3 of these, and one's a dotty one. There's this one, and the other one's a striped one, I think. I can't remember now. No, it's not. It's got like a flower pattern down it. That's right. Anyway, this is the one I'm going to use today. But I wanted to explain about embossing folders. When you open an embossing folder, the Stampin' Up logo is there. And the inside of that is what we call the deboss side. So the pattern on the embossing folder goes into this side. It's raised on this side, and you can easily feel it by running your finger across, so you can feel the ridges on the raised side. So it depends what effect you want on your cardstock or vellum. So in this case, I want my the pattern raised on the side I'm going to have on the front of the card. So I'm going to be putting it in on that side. So the Stampin' Up logo does help you know which way it should go, and I'll explain how you use it in the machine in a bit. I've already stamped my envelope. Put that to one side. So the bits you need, first of all, you need a base card, and it's my normal base card, which is 21 centimetres by 14.8, and that is size-wise for inches is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and you're going to score it in the middle at 10.5 centimetres, or in inches 4.25 inches, and fold it in half. Really simple base. The piece of vellum I'm using on the front is 10 centimetres by 14.3 centimetres, which in inches is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. So this is the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of those pieces just for a minute, and I'll show you, because I want to show you about the how we do this. So I'm going to just place the piece of vellum in the embossing folder, fold it over, and then it's ready to go into my machine. Oh, and I have here, it needs to be the big machine. So hopefully you can see that. And the plates that you need, it actually tells you on your normal base plate, which is plate 1, it actually tells you the sandwiches you need for each type of embossing folders. Now, this is a 3D embossing folder, so we have to use this one here. So it tells us we need plate 1 and plate 4. So that's plate 1. They all have the numbers on it. And this, as you can see, is plate 4. So we place the embossing folder on top of plate 1, place plate 4 on top, and then wind it through. Now, it's important when you're putting an embossing folder through that you put it with the fold going through first. I should have shown you that. I'll just run it through, and then I shall show you. Make a clonk. There we go. There's the clonk as it comes out the other side. So let me just move the machine again. Oh, heavy that is. So you can see here, I put the fold, that's the bit where it hinges, I've put that towards the front, and that's important to do it that way round, because otherwise you can damage your machine or you can damage your embossing folder. Just put that out of the way, and that is finished with as well. So here we have, and hopefully you can see the design on it. Here's the raised design, and you can see the ridges. Hopefully you can see that on this side. The deboss side has little valleys. So you might want to use that side on some projects. I actually want to use the raised side on this project. So that piece now sticks to the front of the card. Now, there are several ways to stick vellum down, but the way I prefer to do it is actually to use some glue dots. And I probably should have done this before, because this will take a little while, because it will need quite a lot of glue dots. You can't really see the glue dots through the vellum, which is what I like. So we need, as with any glue, we're putting it on the back of the vellum. So I'm just going to put quite a few glue dots around this piece. This is an old glue dots packet, but there's still glue dots in it, so we shall keep using it. New packets are a different colour. And I like to use just a little pokey tool thing just to pick the glue dots up with. I find it easier. So she's making a mess of that one, but there we go. Find it easier to use than trying to pick them up with either tweezers or with my fingers. If I pick them up with my fingers, they're getting a right mess. Because you want to really try and keep them as flat as you possibly can on here. So let me just tear. The thing with the glue dots is you have to keep tearing the cover off because it gets in the way. Gets in the way a lot. Right, I still can't see any chat. I don't know if somebody's there writing on my chat, and I don't know if they are, why I can't see it. And I apologise if that is the case, but there's nothing come up on either of my screens, so we'll assume there is nothing. So I'm just going to put some glue dots around the outside, as you can see, and then I can position it carefully, make sure I've got it in the right place, just with a little border all around the edge, and then I can simply press down on it. And as you can see, the glue dots basically are invisible. Yeah, I can't see any through that. I don't know if you can. That's why I prefer to use glue dots. So we'll keep those out because we'll need them for the next bits. So the next thing I'm going to do, let's put that out of the way. Where's my other piece? Oh, they're inside, of course. So the other pieces you need for this is you need a piece of silver foil to cut out your frame. And I'm going to talk about how it's best to actually glue the frame on, because there's various ways to do it, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So the piece of frame for the original card, the piece of foil you need for it, was 12 by 8 centimeters approximately. That's around 4 3/4 inches by 3 1/4. You can test your frame on it. And when I cut it off my silver foil, I had this left. I went to cut a new piece of silver foil today for this particular live and found I didn't have a piece big enough. I need some more for silver foils. That's gone on my order for next time. But I do have this piece and it will fit this frame. So I'm going to do a slightly different one this time. So now I'm going to use the desktop cut and emboss machine. Move those bits to the side without losing them. This is a nice little compact machine. It's smaller than the other one, as you can see, and most of the ordinary embossing folders don't go through, but there are certain types of embossing folders that do. Again, we've got the plate that tells us the sandwiches to do. So this is for die cutting. So you place it cutting edge down, plate 1, and the 2 plate 2s with the actual die between. So I'm going to be putting it on like this. It does just fit. I did test that before we started. It's tight, but it will just fit on here, which is fine. Now, a little trick with the desktop cut and emboss machine, the mini, is I find that it's best to just, if I show you what I've done there, I've staggered the plates and it does go through better. If you line up the plates equally, I find it a little bit tough to get it through the machine. Let me just make sure that's on properly. There we go. But with staggering them, I find it goes through much better. That's my little tip for using the mini cut and emboss machine. So we run that through, and with Stampin' Up dies, they are so wonderful. Oh, noisy clips as I shut that, get it out of the way. So there we have it, cut out from here. Oh, it's going to come out. Yeah, falling out. It has fallen out of the die cut, out of the die. There we go. And I've just got those bits left, which really aren't enough for anything. I got this bit left. I can probably get some leaves and things cut out of that, so I shall leave that on one side. I've also already used the leaf die from this set to cut out some leaves from the silver foil, because when I did the original card, I had this piece left and it cut out 4 leaves beautifully. So I'll definitely get at least 2 more leaves out of that piece. So here is the circle. There's one bit that just didn't come out there, so I can take that out gently. And this I'm going to stick to the front of my card, and I'm going to have the sentiment behind. So let me just put that out of the way over there. And I'm then going to add some extra leaves. So I've got a couple more bits. I've got this piece because on the original card, what I did was I actually heat embossed the leaf stamp and then just cut it out with the die. So I used a heat embossed stamp on that one. For this one, I've already cut out these leaves, so I don't need this piece. But if you did want to make the original card, then you do need a scrap of vellum to cut the leaves out with. I shall use that for something else later. So my final bit to prepare before I put the rest of the card together is my small bit of vellum for the sentiment, and this is 6 centimeters by 4 centimeters, or 2 1/4 inches by 1.5 inches. Now, important thing with any embossing is you need, oops, that's turned off again. Let me just turn this back on so I can see if there's any comments there, which there aren't. Okay, and important thing when embossing, use an embossing buddy. It's just a little sort of dust-filled pouch, I suppose, sewn up together, and it has this sort of white dust stuff in it. But what it does, it takes off any oil remnants that are on the top of the vellum or card if you're using it on card. And when we're using our fingers on things, we do leave oils from our fingers. It's not very much, but it can be enough to disrupt any perfect embossing, which we don't want. So we need to choose, which one should we choose for this one? I think we'll probably have, let's have a different one. Let's have congratulations on your wedding day this time. That's this stamp. So I should get that off. So we'll have congratulations on your wedding day. There we go. And of course, we're going to stamp this in Versamark. This is the Versamark ink. You have to use this ink for heat embossing. It's a sticky ink. So it'll just put this on here and I'll show you. You won't see it very much to start with. So that's just stamping on. You can't really see it. I can just about see it as a sort of wet mark. And then we will get our embossing powder. I'm using silver again here. I keep my embossing powder in these old Chinese containers because I need space. If I try and do embossing without having some sort of big container to catch it all, I get it everywhere. I mean, I get it everywhere anyway, but I get it even more everywhere when I haven't got them in a container. So we can cover. Now we can see where we stamped. So hopefully you can see that. And the powder has covered it all, and I haven't got any extra powder on there, which is perfect. Close that up, move it before I knock it over, and then we can heat emboss it. And I love this. I'm going to hold it just with the corner of my pokey tool because I don't want to burn my fingers. So always turn the heat tool on and make sure, test it on me first, that it's hot before we actually take it to the embossing. And with vellum, quite often it's a good idea, especially if it's quite a big pattern, emboss it from underneath. Use the heat from underneath. But this one, it's just the words, so I'm doing it on top, which will be fine. Whoop, and hopefully you can stay still, things blowing everywhere. There we go. I'm going to hold it in the corner, it's going to be easier. Just to make sure it's all covered. Yeah. Turn that off so you can hear me again. So we'll blow around a little bit. Just be careful. They are hot, these heat guns. So hopefully now we can see, if I get the sun to shine on it, you can see the lovely silver embossing on there. So I'm going to stick this on my card first. And again, I'm going to use glue dots because it's a lot better for vellum. So I shall put one on each corner. Need 3 hands here. I'm holding them with one hand, trying to put them on with the second. I need a third. Right. Number 3. And finally one in this corner, number 4. So I'm going to put this on first because I want the frame to sit around it. So I'm going to put it roughly where I want it. This is a circular frame, so I actually want it nearer the middle than I would normally put it. So we'll have it there. That's stuck that on. Now, this is sticking the frame on. Now, you could, if you're clever, like some of my fellow demos, use your Tombow and just put little dots around to stick it. I find that really, really difficult because I'm a little bit cack-handed with it sometimes, and I find it difficult to make sure that it doesn't just go wherever I don't really want it to go. I'm just going to trim that for some reason. That's just, there we go. Make that leaf perfect, that's better. So that's one way to do it. A second way to do it is before you die cut it, use one of our sticky sheets, the adhesive sheets, and you can stick your silver foil to one side of the adhesive sheet, cut out your image, and then you can peel the sheet off, and that leaves a completely sticky covering that makes it easy to stick. So that's a good way to do things. It uses a lot of the sheets, and the sheets are quite expensive. So I'm going to show you a little cheats way of doing it. And you can do this either on a scrap piece of paper, which is what I'm going to do now, or you can use the silicone mat if you have one of those. Should have had this a coloured piece of paper because then you'd see it better. But I'll show you what I'm going to do, which is to get, ooh, my sponges are sticking together. There we go. I have a sponge, a little piece of, it's an old bathroom sponge. This, no, it's I think it was a packing in something I got in a box. And I thought, oh, that's a nice sponge. I can use that. So I cut it up into bits, and I can now use this with some glue. So I put the glue on the sponge. If I can get my glue out of here. I think I need a new glue. Let me get my other one. Yeah, that's actually got some glue in it. The other one's empty, I think. So I'm going to just put some glue around the sponge like that. So I've got it covered in a bit of glue, and then I can simply dab it around my image, my die cut. So it's actually covering the die cut. Don't know if you can see there, it's actually got glue all over it, just where I want it, which is perfect. And then I can stick it straight down onto my card. See how that sticks down beautifully. The sponge will wash in water, and obviously my scrap paper goes in the bin because it's got glue on it now. I don't want to use that for anything else. So those wash simply in a nice sort of hot soapy water, and then just leave them to dry, and you can use them again and again. But you see how well that's just stuck it on without me getting glue on me, getting it spread all over the desk, whatever. But it's stuck on my frame where I wanted it to. Now, for this one, I'd actually cut these in, as I say, in silver leaves, because I'm going to, I think I'll probably just use 2 of them actually to complete my circle. And this time, there's a bit from the die cut that didn't come out. There we go. This time I am going to just use, actually, do you know what? I can get my gluey piece of paper out and I can use that again. Use the rest of the glue on here. Why not? Makes sense, doesn't it? Rather than try and faff around putting little dobs of Tombow on, which is a pain. So just dab glue all over here. There we go. And then I can just stick these straight onto here. So I'm just filling in the frame here. Decided this would look quite nice. Hope you agree. So it's a little bit different from the original card I did. I'll show you them side by side in a minute. There, that's sensible to finish off using that and not get my, usually I get myself absolutely covered in glue when I try and put the little bits of glue on it. I'll keep those leaves for doing something else later. But I think that's enough for me just to say that. Congratulations on your wedding day. I can put some gems on it. I could put a little bit of twine, little bow, whatever. I don't think I will. I think I'm going to just leave it like that because I rather like it. And then we can stamp probably the same one as I used before, wishing you a lifetime of happiness inside. So I'll just get that out. Oh, and talking about stamps, now I used Versamark on this one for the front. I don't ever bother cleaning a stamp when I've used Versamark, because actually it helps to have a Versamark top on the stamp when you're using it for something else. Just need to reach my bigger stamp block from the back here. Ooh. There we are, because this one fits there. So this is wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. And to match with this particular set, let me just stick the die back in where it should go, so it's out of the way as well. I'm going to use Smoky Slate. I didn't want a very dark colour. I think trying to use matching to silver. No, Smoky Slate definitely matches best. So I'm going to just use wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. And we'll stick that just in the centre of the card. You can do this in a layer if you're not happy about making sure your stamps are nice and straight or whatever. One of the reasons I love this sort of font is that it doesn't matter if it's not quite straight, which I really quite like. Okay, so, let's turn itself off again. There must be, I ought to do, oh, the video has ended. That's interesting. It shouldn't have ended. Let's hope it's still going on this. It's supposed to be. Oh, well, that's interesting. I hope it hasn't. Right, so the only other thing I'm going to do is use the little flower, and I'm just going to stamp that inside as well. I'll just put my ink pad. And this is just a lovely little outline flower stamp, which I think just adds to the inside there. And I've already stamped it on the envelope, as I showed you before. I actually used, I tried for the first time, I used the grey granite, but I didn't like that. It's a slightly brown grey, and I didn't think it matched the silver, so I've actually done 2 on there because I decided I wanted to go with Smoky Slate. So that's what I've done. There, so there is my card and my envelope. I'll just move this. I can show you it against the other one. I'll leave it in its wrapper. There we go. So there are my 2 cards using both of the frames from this beautiful die set. The Lifetime of Love. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you might have a go at this sort of thing yourself. I love playing with vellum, and my favourite ways to use it are heat embossing and dry embossing, which are the 2 techniques I've shown you today. I hope you enjoyed those, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks for joining me today. If you want the full instructions and to see this card in in all its glory, I suppose. It'll be in my blog tonight at 6 p.m. tonight. It'll come out as part of the Tech for Stampers blog hop, so you can go and see the ones that my other fellow demonstrators have made as well. So all the instructions will be there, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.